So I thank the deputies for raising these important issues, and as Minister Brown has already stated, wish to confirm the Government is not proposing to oppose this motion. As we can all agree, the office of the President is a key part of our democratic institutions, and it's important that our head of state representatives is representative of all Irish citizens, irrespective of where they may reside. In terms of voting rights, Kieran O'Donnell, I would like to reiterate that to extend voting rights at presidential elections to Irish citizens in Northern Ireland, or more generally to other jurisdictions, would require the holding of a referendum to amend the Constitution. On this matter, it is noted that Sinn Féin tabled a motion for debate in the Dáil during private members' time on Tuesday, 24th of June of this year, 2025. The motion called on Dáil Éireann to implement the recommendations of the 5th report of the Convention on the Constitution to extend voting rights in presidential elections to all Irish citizens on the island of Ireland, and to propose that we extend the right to vote in presidential elections to the diaspora. The Government did not oppose the motion, and it was noted during the debate that the Government continues to reflect on this matter, and on Tuesday, the 17th of June, aimed to introduce the 41st Amendment of the Constitution, Voting Rights in Presidential Elections, Bill 2025, which seeks to extend voting rights in presidential elections for all citizens on the island of Ireland. The Government, like previous governments, is supportive of the work previously undertaken by the Convention on the Constitution on the matter of extending voting rights of presidential elections. However, there are a number of factors that need to be considered and addressed prior to the holding of a referendum. An amendment to our Constitution is clearly required, but from a practical perspective, a system will need to be put in place which will allow for the registration of electors from Northern Ireland. Another issue is how such electors will vote, for example, postal or otherwise. I note that on Commission Toycon, as part of its research programme, is examining the issue of extending postal voting in our elections. A separate reserve constituent will need to be provided to facilitate the return and count of ballot papers from citizens exercising their right to vote. On the freedom of information, Section 42H of the Freedom of Information Act 2014 provides that this Act does not apply to a record relating to the President. Policy responsibility for freedom of information framework rests with the Minister for Public Expenditure, Infrastructure, Public Service Reform and Digitalisation. The Office of the President is already subject to a separate and discrete vote of its own, which covers all of that office's expenditure in agreement with the Oireachtas. In addition, that vote is subject to audit by the Controller and Auditor General, and its expenditure subject to examination by the Public Accounts Committee. While amendments to the Freedom of Information Act are more appropriate to the relevant minister, as I've already indicated, I would note that, as Minister Brown has already stated, the perceived gains of subjecting the office of the President to freedom of information do not appear to outweigh the potential risk of disturbing the independence or the apolitical nature of the Presidency itself. In respect of the annual report, I also understand that the annual accounting and financial reporting arrangements for the Office of the President are managed in the same way as the expenditure arrangements for other public services votes. Again, the question arises as to whether there is any particular added value in the preparation and publication of an annual report by the Office of the President's Office, of the Office of the President, President's Office in respect of financial accounting and reporting over and above the scrutiny provided by the Oireachtas and the other reports from the Controller and Auditor General. In respect of the candidate nomination process, Article 12(4)(2) of the Constitution explicitly provides that every candidate for election, not a former retiring President, must be nominated by either 1, not less than 20 persons, each of whom is at the time a member of one of the Houses of the Oireachtas, or 2, by the councils of not less than 4 administrative counties, including county boroughs, as defined by law. To alter the candidate nomination process as presidential election will require an amendment to the Constitution. And as Minister Brown has already outlined, that if such a referendum was successful, it would be necessary for the Minister responsible for electoral legislation to bring forward appropriate amendments to the Presidential Elections Act 1993 as amended to give practical effect to the constitutional change. On this matter, it is worth noting that we now have an independent statutory electoral commission on Comishcon Táchán, Ireland's independent electoral commission, its advisory and public information functions to enable it to carry out research on electoral policy and procedure. Furthermore, it is also empowered to advise that and make recommendations to the Minister and Government in respect of any proposals for legislative change or any policy matters concerning electoral legislation and proposals. And as I've already stated, as Minister Brown has already stated, and I wish to confirm, the Government is not proposing to oppose this motion or the amendment that's being put forward. And once again, Ceann Comhairle, I want to thank the deputies for their contributions to this debate and look forward to continued engagement on these important matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister.